Hello and welcome to Chapter 1 in Nursing 330 Biostatistics. Just to let everybody know where we are with the videos, each video is normally about 15 minutes in length, and there are normally about 3, 4, 5 videos per chapter throughout the semester. Feel free to always pause, review, rewatch the videos as you go. They're up there for you. So without further ado, let's get started with Chapter 1 and get right into this. So Chapter 1, we're going to be talking about different measurements, what is biostatistics, the organization of data, types of measurements, and data quality. Chapter 1 and 2 are normally pretty quick. There's some information in there, some stuff might be review for other people, so they'll be relatively short and quick videos. So biostatistics is not merely compilations of computation techniques. Statistics is a way of learning from data. When we look at data, it does require us to look at it from a judgmental point of view, right? We want to scrutinize the data, and we get data from a bunch of different types of elements, study designs, data collection, analysis of numeric data. Biostatistics is statistics of applied to biological and health problems, right? There's different forms of statistics. You can have business statistics, we have biostatistics here. There's different forms of statistics throughout different areas that you go into. We're going to be mostly applying all of our information to biological and health problems. So biostatisticians, we like to say we're data detectives. We like to uncover clues and patterns. If you've ever been in an escape room before, a lot of times there are clues and patterns in escape rooms, and you have to try to put them together to solve the puzzle, so you can escape the room. I kind of like to look at them in the same way, except instead of really cool Jenga blocks or beer bottles or different cards around the room or pictures, we're looking at actual graphs of data and information collected from a variety of sources. So we're data judges who we judge and confirm clues based on what we see, and we rely on statistical tests, and that's what we're going to be covering in the later parts of the semester, different types of statistical tests we use, and then we use those to assess the validity of a study, like how great is the study set up to be. Is it statistically significant? Is it not? Were there bias involved? Are there other areas that they may have mismeasured? All these things you can take into consideration. And then once we kind of learn about these tests and go further, then what we have is called statistical inference, where we take these small samples and we infer them to a general population, right? So if you're studying, young Chinese women in America, when we infer from that study, we can really only infer about young Chinese women. We can't really infer on a larger scale, but if you have a larger scale type sample size, then we can infer that to the population itself. So now we're going to get into different types of measurements. So measurement is defined as the assigning of numbers and codes according to prior sets rules. There are 3 broad types of measurement. So in our book we have 3 broad types of measurement: categorical, ordinal, and quantitative. If you go to any other classes, these might change. Sometimes there's only 2, sometimes there's 4 or 5. They're all relatively meaning the same thing, and they measure the same information. Sometimes you just get more specific or more broad. So let's go into those different types of measurements. So first up, we have categorical, which classifies observations into named categories. The other thing you might see on here under named is you'll see nominal. Nominal means name. So any kind of nominal data or information is categorical. Once again, if you go online and look at different types of measurements, you might see nominal listed. That is our categorical. And this is where we just classify them under the category. So like HIV status, you're either positive or negative. There's no number assigned to it, and you can't rank them in order of positive and negative. Another categorical scale would be male, female. Another one could be religion, could be ethnicity. These are all different types of categorical scales that you can use. They're not number based, and there's no rank order to them. Whereas when we have ordinal, these are categories that can be put into a rank order scale, such as like stages of cancer, right? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 of cancer. You can even say like months of the year, or a grade level, or an ordinal level, right? There's a ranking order to them. And lastly, we have quantitative. Also, just to go back real quick for ordinal, ordinal and quantitative, when you look at other websites or other places, if you do other types of research on this, you'll see that ordinal and quantitative can be broken up into an ordinal level or a ratio level going forward. But for all intents and purposes, and always throughout the course, we are going to rely on how the book defines certain things. So you might read something different online, but however the book defines is how we're going to go through for the rest of the course, because it's the only way to keep everything consistent and fair for everyone across the board. So we have ordinal, then we have quantitative. Quantitative is a true numeric value. They can be put on a number line. So anytime we have a number associated with it, this is going to be our quantitative measurement scale, such as age or cholesterol. You think of any heartbeats per minute. Anytime you have a numeric quantity, that is where we're going to have a quantitative measurement scale. So here's an example. They have this illustrated example in the book, and they had a study on weight change in heart disease. The study had 115,818 women aged 30 to 55 years old. They're free of CHD over 14 years. So we had measurements that were included were body mass index at study entry, BMI at 18, and CHD case onset, yes or no. So when we break this down, how these different measurements are on our scale, whether they're categorical, ordinal, or quantitative. Here we have, for categorical, we have either if they were a smoker, current, former, or no, CHD onset, yes or no, family history of CHD, yes or no. Now remember, you have these categorical. There is no number associated with them, and you can't put them in a rank order. Whereas if we have ordinal, we have a non-smoker, light smoker, moderate smoker, heavy smoker. These are categorical values that are in a rank order. And then lastly, we have quantitative. So in quantitative here, we have a number value. So BMI is a number value, kilograms over meters cubed. We have age, which is in years, weight presently, and weight at age 18. Now we're going to move on to variable, valuable, and observation. So as we collect these, this information, it has to be organized in a specific way, and that is based on the variable, valuable, observation. An observation is a unit upon which the measurements are made and can be individual or aggregate, right? It could be individual, or it could be a group of people, like a country, or maybe a classroom or a hospital setting, like that specific group of people. A variable is a generic thing that we're measuring, right? We want to know what is the age of a person. The variable here is age. HIV status of the person, what is their HIV status? That is the variable. And then how they answer is the actual realized measurement, right? So if they say they're 27 years old, right, the variable we're measuring age, but the value is 27. Same thing if we're measuring the variable of their HIV status and they say they're HIV positive, the positive is the value that is associated with the variable, and observation is the individual that is there. This is how it kind of looks in like a data collection form, maybe a survey. So you have your data collection form as these individual observations right behind it. And here we have a data collection form, so it could be a survey, something someone fills out. The variable, their first name here, and then another variable could be gender, age, and then other variables of field of study, right? And all these are the variables. The observation is the form itself, and then the value is what the information that you collect for that individual. When you collect that and we put it into like an Excel spreadsheet or SPSS or any other type of statistical software, it'll look something more like this, where each row will correspond to an observation. So here we have our rows. So we have this individual who's age 24, male, HIV positive, yes, onset, so I believe the day that they were giving, they tested positive, October 12th, 2007, and whether or not they are infected, yes, right, test result back, yes. Each column then would contain information on the variable, and then each cell in the table contains a value. So here we have our row, and then here we have our column, and then in each individual part, this is the cell. moving on. So once again, it doesn't have to be necessarily an individual level. Here we have, they're not individuals, these are regions. So here we have countries, and this is based on cigarette consumption in 1930, and then lung cancer per 100,000 in 1950. So here you have the countries instead of individual people here. So this is just showing you another type of way that you can display the data. So data quality, we have, analysis can only be as good as its data. We have this form that's called GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If you collect very weak data, you're going to get very weak information back, right? A lot of times, everything goes into survey designs or how you're asking a question. How you ask questions can be interpreted sometimes different ways. This is something to think about when you fill out your data answer online for the data collection form. I have some just random questions in there, and just think about, how you're answering them. Is it a multiple choice answer? Is it a fill in the blank answer? When I ask the question, is it very specific or is it obscure? Can people take this at different ways, right? Data is only as good as the question itself is answered. And is the question you're asking answering your overall primary objective, right? If you're talking and wanting to gather information on, heart rates, we don't want to be probably looking at, what size their feet are. This is a very silly example, but once again, you want your questions to be relatively related to what you're studying. Does the variable measure what its purpose to? Validity, is it free from systematic error? Objectivity, seeing things as they are without making it conform to a worldwide view, right? We want to make sure that we're asking the right questions, it's centered upon the information that we're trying to learn from, and then, can we make a generalized statement from it? Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. It just depends on how we're asking the question and what we're looking at. Once again, consider how the wording of a question can be influenced the validity or objectivity. Once again, just kind of think about these things as you start to go on this venture of collecting data and being in statistics here. Once again, the data form that you'll fill out online, think about how some questions are good, some questions might be bad, and that people can interpret things very differently. And you might get a wide range of answers. And if you get a wide range of answers, is that good or bad for the study? All these things have to be taken into consideration when we're going through data.